Hi everyone. So this is for the BIOL3014 BINF7000 course, setting up your Python environment. So I noticed a few people still haven't got their Python environment set up. So I'm just going to give a quick demo on how to do that in the most efficient way possible. That's the most independent of the operating system. So that way we don't need to debug specific operating systems. So we're in PyCharm, but the course is in Spider. But nevertheless, the same principles apply. So I'm just going to make a Python script to store our prac1 information. And I also usually I have a working script, and then normally I have something like a script for helper functions. So the helper function script is to I normally put at the top of each script. The point of this script is to store functions related to practical one. So then I have the script which I store my definitions in, and then over here I do the same sort of thing, just saying the point of this script is to document my work on practical one in BIOL3014 BINF7000. And you don't have this line in Spider, but you normally want to keep your code to a defined set of lines so that it's nice and neat. So the main thing here is setting up the environment such that you have the source code available. So students will have git clone to certain repository, git clone, git BINFPy. So they'll have cloned this. And for me, the source code is here in this particular directory. You can see at the bottom here. So the best way to make sure that that is part of the environment that's agnostic to the actual operating system. And I use this all the time anyway, because normally working on different projects that require different source code. And some of that source code is custom written. So I haven't gotten it installable via pip yet. So the easiest way is just sys.path.append. And so what this is actually doing here, so if I go import sys, and I go sys.path, this is telling me all the different places that Python is going to look for source code. So we can see in here that our current directory, the directory where the script is actually one of those directories. So in other words, if I go import sys right now, it's actually in one of these places you'll find the sys script. So potentially in this miniconda site packages. So if I want to add another place where Python can look for source files, then I can just put the string which tells it where to go to. So in my case, it's I've installed the source code here at this location. And yeah, BINFPy, I believe it's source. That's it for me, but in your case, it will be just the BINFPy. So we can see our users, you can be all desktop, uni studies, tutoring, BINFPy source. So that looks like it's pretty good. So we can now do this. So now if we go sys.path, okay, awesome. See how we've got this directory here now? So that means that when I say import, Python can look in here and try to import this source code for our project. The other thing to make sure is that you have you're in the right location, so that when you can read, say for instance, if we have actual source files, then we can read those. So if we go here, users, you could be bold. In other words, when I'm looking for source data, so if I say, for instance, try to read in a file, I'm just going to create a blank file here so that I can read it in. Blank, just file name text, just to be imaginative. So this contains some random text, just to show what I mean. Let's just save that. So now if I go file handle is equal to open, and then I go file name dot text, and then I go read like this. That's because I named it differently. Okay, so we've got it, and then I should be able to go for line in file handle print line. So this contains some text. So what it's doing is it's actually taken out these 3 blank lines here and also the text at the top and printed it out. But however, if I was in the wrong location, the reason why I could find this file is because it was in this directory here, which is my current working directory. So say, for instance, if I change to the wrong directory, let's go os.change directory. So this will change where my current location is. Let's go to users. So just back to my kind of root directory, os.get c working directory, and we can see here. You can also do things like list what's in the directory. So os.list directory. So you can see all the stuff in here. We can see there's no file. You'd see that there's no file name down text. So now if I repeated my code that I wrote here, yeah, it gives me this file not found error. And the reason why is because we're in the wrong place. We're looking for that file in the wrong place. So what we could do is we could add this massive string to the start, which give us our old working directory, or we can change the working directory. All right, so let's put this as a little test here. So I'll upload this later. So for file, print this. Okay, cool. But let's say, let's actually make that a helper function. So we can go def check file reading like this, and I'm just gonna whack that code straight in there. It's always good to put some tries to read a file we expect to be in our current working directory. So if we've got this here, we can save it. And now what I want to do is go import helper functions as HFs. So this is probably not going to work, and the reason why, so that did work, os.get c working directory. Anyhow, for some reason that worked. So now what we can do is we can kind of test that hfs.check file reading. So let's do that. So it's not found because we're in this location, which is the wrong location. So now if we make sure we're in the right location, which is the I made this, not actually quite sure where I made this. So it's desktop, uni down studies, my Python 3014 / down BINF7000. So now if we add that, the file reading should work. os.change directory. Sorry, my bad. So I'm just missing this part of the start here. Okay, sweet. So now if I read in this file, it should work. So see how it worked properly, and that's because now we're in this location. So now we're looking in the correct place for the source file. So if you see this sort of error, it means that you're in the wrong directory. You're looking for your source files. If you see an error where you try to import something, so let's just restart this. Okay, so this is checks we are in the right place for source files. Let's go that, and then we go checks we have our source code available to us, or rather, not checks. It also ensures. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to try to import sequence. See how it gives us this big error here? So sequence is one of our source files here. So I can correct this error here, the module not found error, by doing this. So import, and now I've added. So now Python knows to look for the source files here. So now I should be able to do import sequence. So sequence works now. Sequence, and yeah, the import works now is the main point. So this is all set up now. So basically, so this is in the right place for source files, and this is ensuring that our source code is available to us. So wherever you get cloned BINF, just include the path to there, and wherever you set up and downloaded the practical zip file, then make sure you're in that directory. So then you can actually load in the faster files that are provided for the practical. And I like doing this helper functions thing here because it kind of makes things a lot neater. And it means when you start getting, lots and lots of code, you can just simplify it by whacking it into a function and putting it here. So that way you don't have to look at so many things at the same time. So it reduces your mental load. The other thing I like to do to make sure things are set up neatly, aside from having this kind of goal here, is to try to make little subheadings. So that way I can find things quickly when I need to. So I kind of do it using this. I just put a bunch of comments. Hashtag setting up the environment. So then I can just copy paste this whole thing. And now getting started on question 1. So that's neat. So now I just put my code here. And then the other thing I like to do is when I have the answer to a question, sometimes we recommend to keep all your source code in that so that you can do it later, but you should also keep your answers so you don't have to rerun the source code every time. So for instance, if I have my answer, then I like to say answer is 0.25, or answer is, ACGT, whatever. Basically, whatever you end up putting into CodaQuiz, at the end of the question, I just like to put the answer there. So that way, later on, if I go to submit to CodaQuiz, I can just quickly do that, getting started on question 2. And then you have this nice defined structure. As you do this across the whole course, or this is more of a general recommendation, once you start to get larger projects, is to keep something called design notes.txt. So this just simply documents what the whole point of the project is. The point of this project is to store my source code and answers to BIOL3014 BINF7000, and trying to keep this nice and neat. And then I kind of set this up as like an index. So you imagine the project as like a book of code with solutions to problems. So what we want to do here is the design notes, to me, is kind of like the index. So it's where you look up where the different solutions are. So this kind of gives you nice details. It's like, this is a particular chapter, and these are different, I suppose these are different paragraphs in that chapter. And this describes what the chapter is about. And this here is kind of the index for the project book. So I like to do things like prac1.py. The source scripts are as follows. So tab that across, and then I like to say this contains the answers to practical 1, and then something like output, no output answers stored within. And then you can do things for other stuff like helper down functions.py. This contains the code for functions that are necessary to run prac down1.py. So this means that later on, when you want to refer back to this code, instead of having to read through a bunch of scripts to figure out where everything is, instead you have this quick index file. And if you keep it called design notes or index.txt or notes or whatever you call it, if you keep that consistent between your projects, it means whenever you go to a new project, all you have to do is just open up this file and you've already written a text file explaining to yourself what the project is about. It makes it a lot easier, especially when your projects start to get really big. There's lots of scripts. You completely forget what you've done because maybe it's a year since you performed those steps. If you have these notes files, it makes it a lot easier. You literally just open this file up and tell you exactly what you need to know. But the main point for BIOL3014 BINF7000 is just make sure you have your environment set up properly. So this here is to make sure you have your source code set up properly, and this here is to make sure you're in the right directory. And that's just about it. I'll add this to the I'll add this code here to the Piazza. Thanks.